Hi, and welcome back to the farm. Appreciate you being here. I thought I'd bring you along today. We just got back from vacation. Lots of farm chores to do. But today I'm going to tackle the cruciferous vegetable garden. We're going to go ahead and pull all the cabbage out, get the weeds removed, see what's lying underneath there, and make some sauerkraut. So let's get started. Well, here's what happens when you cover your cabbage. I haven't really weeded in here. Sean did a little bit. We got volunteer pumpkins, cabbage. Got some big old heads in there. Swiss chard down there being taken over by volunteer tomatoes. Unfortunately, our broccoli bloomed. We just didn't get to it. We were gone on vacation. But I just stepped on a tomato. But the Brussels sprouts are kicking butt. Huge, and the kale's still going strong too. Got a few ripe tomatoes and some more in there. But time to clean out and harvest today. And get this thinned out and some vegetables fermenting and in the cold storage. Well, here we go. I'm out of breath, so my apologies. But I got 2 baskets, look just like that, with cabbage, early variety, some ripe tomatoes. This used to be where the baby chicken brooder coop was, their tweenie coop we called it. So there's all kinds of volunteer tomato plants, pumpkin. You can see the big pumpkin over there growing. I left this weed because holding up that volunteer tomato. I still got plenty of Swiss chard, tons of kale up under there. Brussels sprouts I covered back up, try to keep the daggone white butterflies out of it. As you can see, the kale is popping out on each side. But got pumpkins growing that, again, were volunteers from when we fed our chickens the pumpkins last Halloween. But I wanted to bring you over and show you how much these babies love their garden scraps. And they haven't left the circle of scraps. They haven't had any garden scraps or table scraps for about 10 days because we were gone. So, but you can see while we were gone, our broccoli flowered, and unfortunately the white row cover, it did allow us to have a lot better production of veggies, but those stupid butterflies and slugs still got in there. Again, I didn't really maintain it. I just covered it up, covered it up. Didn't do any weeding or anything like that. So for just a throw it up and see what it did garden, I'm pretty happy. And as you can see, it is hot. Like, the temperature isn't hot. It is just so muggy that, yeah, you buckets of sweat. But we got her done. We got her cleaned out. So we have our cabbage picked, brought it in. First thing I like to do is soak it in a apple cider vinegar water bath. Just use a couple tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and we have well water. Just soak it in that. That'll take and kill any of the bugs. So as you can see, I've taken the outer leaves off. Still letting them just do a little soak. And those are the outer leaves that I'll give to the chickens, and I'll probably rinse a few off and use that to hold down the sauerkraut as it ferments. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. Excuse my dirty sink though. After I washed the cabbage, I brought it over here and spared you me chopping it all up. But I did chop it up. I got a pretty nice size, a large bowl, which is good. It should fit in my crock perfectly. I also have 1 sweet Vidalia onion chopped up, julienne, I guess you would call it. Basically, to make sauerkraut, all you need is cabbage and salt, non-iodized. You use, if you're using a big head of cabbage, start out with a tablespoon of salt. I always lean on a little less salt than more salt so that the sauerkraut's not real salty. Belly, did you want to put the salt in the cabbage for me? My little assistant Belly Boo is here with me again today, and she is going to sprinkle salt on our cabbage up there. So what the salt does is it releases the cabbage's natural juices and creates a brine between the salt and the natural juice of the cabbage. There's a lot of water in cabbage. Probably going to need about 4 or 5. Let's do 5. So you've done 2. So you keep track, okay? And then the brine is what it's going to ferment in. So the cabbage holds a lot of water. The salt will release the water that's held inside the cabbage and create a brine that's going to ferment and create sauerkraut. So the natural fermentation process, just like in the pickles we did, creates kind of a sour taste. And that's what, basically is sauerkraut. Salt, we're using Himalayan sea salt and cabbage. And that's it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to work the salt that Belly put on down into the shredded cabbage. Now I like an onion in my sauerkraut, and I like fennel seed. Now I won't be doing that today because I plan on giving some of this sauerkraut to my brother, and it gives him severe migraines, the fennel seed does. We found that out the hard way. So, and my husband does not like the taste of the fennel seed in the sauerkraut. But it's good. So, Belly, I think, honey, we're going to probably need a couple more tablespoons of salt. 2 big ones. So, I have been making sauerkraut long enough that I can kind of feel when I have enough salt in my cabbage after a few minutes of working it. Yep, go ahead. Such a great job, thank you. So, I'm going to get both hands in here and just incorporate that salt all throughout the cabbage. So now that I've mixed that in, I'm going to let this just sit here, probably for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and mix again. So we'll be back. Right? Yeah? What were you licking? The salt off your finger? Is it good? No. What about you? So it's been sitting for 20 minutes now. I can tell you by touch, it's already softened up quite a bit. I can actually feel the liquid that's been released in the bottom. And if I hold it up and squeeze it, you can see the liquid coming out. So now you just massage it in. And you can see it shrinks down to not much at all. Okay, at this point I'm going to go ahead and put my onion in. And we just want to mix that all throughout. Comes Miss Belly from giving the scraps to the birds.
Maybe a chicken is out.
Okay, we'll get it here.
A black chicken.
Okay, I'll get it. We have a bird. Let me just mix these onions in. Wash my hands, let this sit another 20 minutes, and go wrangle a chicken. There is one last step that I like to do. This was my grandmother's. I have no idea what the heck it's called. I call it a masher. I don't know if it fed maybe a meat grinder, if it was used maybe to mush jelly, like berries for jelly. I don't know. But I use it to just kind of mush my kraut down because I have no strength. Thank you, neck surgery. And it's just easier for me to use my upper body weight and just push on it because I can't squeeze it hard enough. Problems, such problems. But I don't know if you can see all that liquid. It's all brine. So great. Okay, so now if I was putting fennel seed in the sauerkraut, this is when I would add it at this stage. I wouldn't add it when I'm squeezing it or pounding it, just because you don't want to break the seed up, or I don't know what it would do, but it just doesn't sound like it would be good for the fennel seed, because I want some with fennel seed in it. I am going to make me a little jar. So right here, I have an extra bowl. I'm going to put me some kraut on the side. About like that much. It's literally maybe a cup, maybe 2 cups. 2 cups of sauerkraut. And I'm going to do 1/4 teaspoon of fennel. Let's see. And I just mix that up in there. That is it. Now I will pack that in my jar in a moment. What I'm going to do in my clean crock is squeeze out the juice and put it down in the bottom. Squeeze out the juice and put it down in the bottom. Then take my masher, and carefully not to hit the sides of my crock. I'm going to push that layer of sauerkraut down and continue. And do a layer at a time. Come on in. We're just finishing up our video here. Did you give the chickens all their scraps?
Yeah.
Do you want to push that sauerkraut down for me, since I'm a wimpy wimp?
Yeah, I'll do that. Oh, something smells good in here.
Yeah, it's the sauerkraut.
Yeah.
Now, Mimi's going to do her sauerkraut next. I'm going to put the cabbage in and you push it down in there with the wood spoon. Okay? Like you did this, only you're going to do it in the jar. Alright, push it down. Create a layer. Make it flat. You're doing a great job. Okay, ready for the next layer? Let's move the crock up here. Everyone can see what that looks like inside. It's just nicely packed cabbage and what brine it's creating. Now, Belle, what we're going to do is we're going to put this in there. Okay? And we're going to do one for Mimi because this has fennel seed in it. Mimi likes that a lot, especially on hot dogs.
Okay.
All beef hot dogs. Okay, let me mush now. Before I got my crock, this is how I would make sauerkraut. I never had any alternative, you know, so I just do it this way and ferment it in a glass jar. Just make sure it's not in direct sunlight. And make sure it's about 65 degrees, 70 degrees, no more than 70 degrees. But 60, 65 is perfect. So if you have a basement, that's the way to go. Down maybe where your sump pump is if you're in a new home. there. Come on, get it all. Every last little yummy drop. Picasso painted dyed kitchen towels. Designed by Belly. You didn't really design it, huh? It just kind of happens, right?
Yeah, when you're painting.
I know. That's just what happens. Alright, so Belly did a great job here of packing that down nicely. What you want to just make sure is you don't have any cabbage up on the sides of your jar because that will mold. The way you ferment is you got to keep everything under that brine. So you just want to make sure that you clean them edges before you put it, up to start fermenting. All right, same with the crock as well. Now, we reserved all this liquid over here, so we're going to fill this up until the cabbage is covered, which looks to be about right there. And we're gonna do the same here. Try not to make a mess. And look, we have some extra cabbage left over that we can put in there, along with some of the salt that didn't dissolve. All right, Belle, now you want to take your musher and push that down so everything's up underneath the brine.
Okay.
Everything under the liquid while we just rinsing our dishes.
Can you scoot it a little closer?
I can pull it a little closer, sure thing. Now, don't splatter because it's got the brine there. You'll get yourself all wet. You got it all pushed under there? You do. Good job. Okay. So, remember I said we got to clean the sides. Clean paper towel. And just wipe down the sides. Right? Mimi saved some of the leaves, right? And we're going to lay that in at an angle. Let's move up here so everybody watching can see too. So I lay it in at an angle, and then I push it down and tuck it in the corner.
He's up here.
He's on your stool. In the corner so that it holds all that cabbage underneath. Like that. Because the little pieces of cabbage, they float to the top. Right? Push it. Got to slide it in the edges to hold down the edges, right? And is it all covered? It's all covered? Those big leaves are holding the cut cabbage down. Then we're going to take our weights and put our weights on top.
And this thing?
Nope, those weights. And we're going to put a cabbage leaf down on here too. Okay.
I'm just going to put this in.
Uh-huh.
Okay, why are you showing my thing off the bottom?
So, what I like to do is fill a baggie with some water. You can also use salt. Brian and I have some of that here from when we did our pickles. But the water bag will sit on top of the leaves and keep everything underneath your brine. Okay? So for this, we have a lid, right? Right there it is. Oops. Here's our lid. So we'll put our lid on.
I don't know why you were doing
Right.
it. I don't know why you're tilting me over.
And this is ready to ferment, right, Belle? We're just going to use a saucer because that'll hold that there, and I'll probably place a little rock on top, one of my crystals, to hold that in place. And we are ready to ferment and make sauerkraut, right? So how long does it take to make sauerkraut? I can't believe Diesel's up on your stool. It takes 1 week to 10 days. So 7 to 10 days. I usually let mine go 14 just because I like a sauerkraut. But to get a good tasting kraut, 7 days. Really depends on the temperature you have it stored at also. So the higher the temperature that you're storing it, the faster it's going to ferment. You need to every day skim the top and check it and make sure everything looks good.
What are you doing?
And then I will bring you back as we taste this and put it in jars and stick it in the fridge like we did our pickles.
So if these are...
And if you like this video, please subscribe, like, and share. I'm looking through spots of sweat on my glasses. Until next time, have a great day. Bye! Dina loves you.
I know, baby.
I know, he's such a good boy.